Hi everyone! I am so excited to be live with you today. I am Shayla Courtney and this is the Style Brand webinar. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Just for some housekeeping while we kind of wait for people to log on. I know people probably just left for lunch and they're like, oh, I got to get into this webinar. So I will be dual screen, so if you see me looking around, just a heads up, it might look weird because my Google screen is here and I'm keeping myself on track. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. But welcome. My name is Shayla Courtney. Today I'm going to be talking about style brand, and just a few more minutes to log on via my website and YouTube and Google Plus so that people don't miss anything great. So some housekeeping here. If you have questions, you can ask them in the question and answer bar on Google Plus. So if you're currently on my website or on my YouTube and you know that you'll have questions, head on over to Google Plus now. My name is Shayla Courtney there, and it's broadcasting on my Breathe in Style channel. That is the name of my blog for everyone who doesn't know. The name of the blog is Breathe in Style. So it's broadcasting on the Breathe in Style channel of Google+. And if you have questions or comments or anything like that, you'll be able to leave them there. So this is my big welcome. Style and brand is so important. And welcome to this webinar. I hope you guys can see me. If you can't, please let me know so that I can make any adjustments that I need to. So, all right, let's get started. A little background and a little history about me. I am a Richmond, Virginia native. I attended Old Dominion University and studied fashion merchandising. I have actually been in the fashion industry for about 12 years now. I started off as a model and a fashion show coordinator. I actually did that in my younger years. I know people always stop me now and go, Shayla, are you modeling and that kind of thing? No, I not right now, presently, but you know, I am definitely open to it. It was a great experience at the time. So I have been in the industry for years. I've done everything from styling, merchandising, modeling. I did coordinate a lot of fashion shows and help put them together and produce them. I walked in many of them, and so that's a little history about me as far as the entire fashion industry. I have been working in style, doing personal styling, wardrobe styling, and fashion styling. Those are three synonymous names. For about 10 years, I was basically discovered about 10 years ago. A close family friend actually kind of took me in as her personal stylist because she told me, you know, Shayla, you have a knack for this and you have it natural and you're great at it, so I want you to be my stylist. And from there, I really honed in on developing my love for style and everything like that. As I have gone throughout the process the last 10 years and doing styling and having clients and working with them, I realized how important style is for people who have a brand or an image to uphold. So here's my why for this style brand webinar. Your style and your brand are so important, and yes, they are separate entities, and for people who are not business owners or not entrepreneurs, this is still applicable to you because your brand is you. It's the image that you sell for people. So whether or not you work in corporate America or you own a business, you still have an image that is very important to maintain. And a lot of times when we're not business owners, and for those of us who have worked in corporate America, we know how important presentation is and how important presentation is when it comes to yourself. And people notice a well-dressed individual, and oftentimes the people at the top are always well-dressed. So you definitely always want to dress for where you're going and not for where you are. So this does not signal you out. You can still tune in, you can still watch, you can still learn, because your brand is you. And whether your brand is corporate America or entrepreneurship, that's still important. A little bit about my personal story. As a stylist, a personal stylist, I have worked with multiple brands. One thing that I know has helped me sell myself is my style and is my image. I am very confident when I walk into a room because I know that when I left my house, I was well dressed, I was put together, and I was wearing exactly what I needed to make a statement and to get the customer that I want. So that has always been major for me as well. And definitely from personal experience, I can tell you that this webinar is going to help you because it is something that has always worked for me and has never let me wrong. So again, for those of you who have just joined, I just want to tell you that if you have any comments, to leave them in the comment section on Google Plus so that I will be able to see them, or if you have any questions or anything like that, just let me know. I will move it back and forth to make sure I don't miss anything. And if you can't hear me or see me, let me know. So, but I'm assuming you guys can see me because I don't see any comments yet. If you have questions about what I'm saying, I will break and answer and make sure that I get to you guys exactly what it is that you need to know. So let us get started. Just to touch bases on what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to talk about why style brand is important. And I have three main reasons that you definitely need to know. I want to talk about how to determine if your style brand is working, which is going to be major because a lot of people realize that it's important, but they don't know if theirs is working. So that's going to be fun to talk about. And I'm also going to give you the #1 way to make your style brand work. There is a #1 way. There are multiple ways, and I will definitely tell you those later on in another webinar, but I'm going to give you the #1 way today to know that your style brand is working and how to make it work. So, and make sure you stay tuned until the end of the video because I am going to have a special offer for all of my live watchers, and that's going to be really exciting because I think it's going to be a deal that you guys are going to love. Not going to be able to miss it. So, why is style brand important? The first reason the style brand is important is for cohesive representation. And I know you're like, Shayla, that was wordy. What does that mean? Cohesive representation means that when you are dressed to impress, do a presentation, when you walk out of your house, the brand that you are selling, whether it's successful entrepreneur or successful CEO or successful corporate America worker or employee, it has to be cohesive. People respect a person who represents exactly what they say they do. And you know how people, the saying goes that watch what people do, not what they say. Well, you have to think of that when it comes to your style and brand. It has to be a cohesive representation. So an example of that I will give you is if you are a banker and you are a investor, we'll use investor. You're somebody who always makes really good financial decisions and helps others to do the same. It's important that you have a cohesive representation of that, because if you are somebody who comes to a networking event, or even if I meet you at the grocery store and you look frazzled and unkept, or let's say you just aren't together, it's going to be really hard to sell someone on that you're together enough to be able to keep their investment portfolio or their accounts in order. And the thing is, even if that wasn't enough to impact them, think of how much more you can impact them if you were dressed to impress all the time. Even on your days off, you were dressed to impress. And that's what's important, because people are going to notice that. When it comes to your style brand being cohesive and with representation, that also helps to develop and support your reputation. So, for example, you know how you'll see someone or a name will come up and you'll go, oh, he is always nicely dressed, or she always looks nice. That's what she does. I would have thought that. That is the reaction that you want when people are thinking of you. If you're looking to get promoted or you're looking to take your brand to the next level, you want to have consistent representation and something that is cohesive so that it's not, oh, that's what she does? Oh, okay. You want more than just that, oh, okay reaction when it comes to what you do and who you are. So, why is style brand important? Number two, style brand is important because it helps you attract the right customer all the time. So, your style, your brand, style brand. For those of you who just tuned in again, style brand is what I am using to reference your style and your brand as a cohesive unit because they are that important. So style brand is important because it helps you attract the right customer all of the time. And broken down, what that means is simply, you know that your target market may be, let's say, we'll use CEOs for an example. Let's say you are an entrepreneur who works in any film or realm, but professionals are your target market. If you're always dressed professionally and you're always put together, that target market of yours, that right customer for you, is going to see that, and they're going to look at you. A CEO is going to look at a well-dressed entrepreneur and want to know more information about who you are and what you do. You'll be able to sell yourself without ever opening your mouth just by being dressed to attract the right customer all the time. For those of you who have seen the campaigns and everything for this style brand webinar, that has been my motto. Sell yourself without ever opening your mouth. It's so important to be able to do that. People, when they first meet you, the first 10 seconds is when your first impression is made. And when it comes to that first impression, you want to be able to sell yourself before you even open your mouth. So when you're attracting the right customer all the time, you will be able to not only attract them, but they'll see you from across the room and say, I want to talk to her. She has on exactly what it is that I imagine my banker or my photographer or my artist to be dressed like. So that is what you want to do, sell yourself from across the room. That's the goal. So while you're attracting the right customer, you're selling yourself without speaking, and people are seeing you before you open your mouth. But here's something major that I want everyone who's watching to think about when it comes to their style and their brand. What does poor representation mean? So we talked about cohesive representation, but what does poor representation mean? Poor representation for someone who's looking to go ahead, poor representation for a dreamer, an entrepreneur, someone in corporate America, poor representation for you is major. And the reason why is because that equals lack of interest. Now, let's really dive into that. I know you're like, Shayla, lack of interest, that's kind of major. I'm trying to sell myself. I'm trying to get promoted. I'm trying to sell my product. I'm trying to sell my services. And lack of interest is going to hurt my business. That's why style brand is so important. If you are not dressed for where you're going, what you represent, and what it is that you're selling, people are not going to be interested in what you have to offer. And I will give you an example of poor representation and lack of interest. When it comes to, I'll use a financial planner, for example. When I see people in the finance district and in the finance industry, especially here in the city, I definitely, you can tell them, they are set apart. So when I see someone come up to me and say, hey, I'm a financial planner and this is what I have to offer you, this is what I can do, especially as a stylist, the first thing I do is look at their appearance and look at how together they are and look at how presentable they are. And believe it or not, everyone does that, not just stylists. People look at you and they're instantly going to want to know, what is it that you're selling again? So if you're a financial planner, why are you dressed that way? And that's something that you have to think about. I know for one thing, that is why commercials are so compelling, because they have to have good representation of the product or the service or the brand that they're selling. And when commercials capture you, you are instantly interested. So think about that when it comes to your style brand and your image. Poor representation can equal lack of interest, and you want to drum up that interest. You want to be able to sell yourself before you ever open your mouth. So when your style is a representation of that, you'll be able to do that and people will be interested immediately. I'll give you an example. I'll give you two examples actually. One is a personal one and one is just a general example. My personal example is that I went to a luncheon a couple of weeks ago, and as a personal stylist, it's always very important for me to make sure that not only that my style is on point, but that my fashionable presentation is something that draws interest and something that people that I'm engaging with are going to want to know more. So I went to this luncheon and I wore a pink dress, which I'll post it on my blog so that you guys can see the dress that I wore. But I wore this pink dress that is, it's a hitter. It goes to my knees, it's got a full bottom, and it has a big bow on the side, and it was a women's luncheon. And when I went to this luncheon, you would be amazed at the women who came up to me just to say, oh my gosh, I love your dress. What do you do? What are you here for? And they were immediately interested because my dress had me so put together. And it was a very vibrant color. It was a very, very bright pink. And for those of you who are wondering, I don't wear pink every day. But it was a very, very bright pink. And that pink popped. And I will say that I was the only one in the room with a color that bright on. And the dress is like a good texture, it's a good material. It's not revealing at all. It's got a nice collar. And so this dress was perfect for this luncheon. And it literally drew in the crowd. And in comparison, if you go to a luncheon like that and you're selling something, let's say you own a boutique and you're selling clothes, you want to make sure that you're going to stand out from everyone else. So my general example for representation versus interest is Betsy Johnson. For those of you who don't know her, definitely Google her. She is such a lively woman. She is amazing, and she's a great fashion designer. Her lines are known for being eclectic, edgy, funky, and if you've ever seen her, whether in person or on the Style Channel or on TV, or even if you just see her in the store, because a lot of her products can be found in stores like Macy's and Dillard's and that kind of thing. If you see her, you would think designer. She usually has some type of yellow yarn installation in her hair. She always has on very bright, bold prints. She always mixes and matches. That's somebody that if she walks in a room, people are going to instantly go, what does she do? That's a different look. I wonder who she is. And a lot of times when you're not afraid to be bold, people are attracted to confidence. People are attracted to their boldness. Now, an interesting thing about making sure your style brand is cohesive, which is what we've talked about earlier, is that her image and her style are very cohesive with her brand. When you see her and you see her edgy materials that she used to sell her products, and you see her products and the different lengths of the earrings and the necklaces and even her clothes, you think that makes sense. It makes sense. Everything that she designs makes sense. Now, if her style brand weren't cohesive, for example, if she were a financial planner, which we've used that example earlier already, you definitely would not want to go up to someone like that and hear them say, oh, I'm a financial planner. You just don't think it. And the thing is, even if your financial planner is a really super edgy person like Betsy Johnson, the important thing to note here is that she sells herself so well as a designer that she never has to open her mouth. When you see her, her confidence in what she's wearing is very apparent, and her confidence in being able to pull off the looks that she has are simply, breathtaking. I'm in awe. When I see her at the end of her fashion show presentation of New York Fashion Week or anything like that, she looks amazing, and that's important. So, how to determine if your style brand is working. This is major, guys, because you want to know that it's working for you. If it's not, we definitely want to change that. So, you want to ask yourself these three questions. Are people intrigued about what you do when you walk in a room? So let's think about that. When you walk into a room and you're going into, whether it be to present yourself, to network, even when you're going into work, or when you're in the grocery store even, are people intrigued about what you do? Do people wonder, about your career and where it's going? Do people look at you and see success? Are people intrigued because your level of confidence is so out of this world? It's something that they want to be a part of. And that's the big part about style brand, is selling something that people want to be a part of. People definitely buy into your image. It's the first thing that people see. So that first question is major. Are people intrigued about what you do when you walk in a room? I know, for example, Steve Harvey. When he walks in a room, even though we all know his name, we are definitely always paying attention to his appearance. He is always well dressed. He's always well presented. His tie or his bow tie and his handkerchief and his suit jacket, it all is put together so well and so nicely. And anyone who doesn't know Steve Harvey would be intrigued when he walked in a room just because of his presentation. And that is major. So ask yourself that first question. Are people intrigued about you when you walk into a room? The next question, do you wear your brand statement? Whatever it is, can I look at you and instantly agree that what you're selling is exactly what I would buy by your appearance? So the reason why that's important, wearing your brand statement. If you are someone who sells at-home secretary services, you are an at-home secretary, you do it online, it's virtual, people can call you and they can trust that you're going to keep them together, keep them organized, and be able to handle the level of work that they send you. Are you wearing that brand statement? When people see you in public and you tell them what you do, are they convinced because you're so put together and your look is so cohesive with the brand that you've established that there's no question about it? One thing I will say is simplicity can help with making sure your brand statement is something that you're wearing and not just something you're talking about. And that's a bonus for you guys. Simplicity is it. And an example of that is, let's think about a major brand. Let's think about Apple. When it comes to Apple, they don't have to convince anybody to stand in line for the new iPhone at all. No one questions it. They instantly, Apple has a new phone, I'm going to stand in line. And that little Apple symbol that has evolved over the years is a seller in itself. That symbol pops on the screen in a commercial, in advertising, online, and you instantly know what it is, you know what it represents, and you know that it is a valued and trusted brand that will not let you down. That's important. Are you wearing your brand statement? And the last question to know how to determine if your style brand is working is whether or not confidence is driving your business or fear. So I have worked with clients and I've heard them say things like, Shayla, I want to try something new, but I'm afraid. And I'm always like, well, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? What's scaring you? Let's talk about it. And a lot of times it's, I'm afraid of what people will think. I'm afraid that when I put this on, I'm not going to be able to be confident enough to sell myself. And that's a question that you have to ask yourself. Is confidence driving your business or fear? Because if you're confident about what you sell and what your product is, what your service is, or confident about where you're going in life, you should be selling that in your personal image and in your personal style. And your style brand is not going to work if you're not confident about what it is you're stepping out in, what you're wearing, and what you're selling. And that is definitely something that is evident to people when you're before them and you're trying to sell them on your services, trying to sell them on what it is that you do, or sell them on what it is that you have to offer. So those three questions to recap, because I don't want anyone to miss it, are how to determine if your style brand is working. Ask yourself, are people intrigued about what you do when you walk into a room? Do you wear your brand statement? Are you wearing it? Can people look at you and agree with what you're presenting or selling? And is confidence driving your business or fear? Something major to think about. I want you to be in your most confident state that you can be in when you're trying to sell yourself for a promotion, sell yourself to a customer, sell yourself to attract new clients. I want you to be confident in your style brand so that you can sell yourself without ever opening your mouth. Let's talk about the number one way to make style brand work. And this is going to be the one that is the heavy hitter. It's something simple that people just don't think about, And I'm glad to be able to give it to you. So the number one way to make that work is look at your customer. It's that simple. Look at your customer. The people that you're trying to attract, the people that you are trying to sell to, what do they look like? What are they wearing? Where are they hanging out? Where do they shop? These are things that you have to think of when you're trying to sell to a particular audience. For instance, when it comes to the type of customer that Betsy Johnson, we talked about her earlier, she's a fashion designer. The kind of customer she wants to attract is somebody who's edgy, somebody who is funky, eclectic, who loves the color pink because it's usually in everything that she has, and somebody who is going to be confident to wear something as bold as the prints and the designs that she creates. And her presentation, she wears that. And she looks at her customer to design for the next season. And her designs are always very, every collection is cohesive. Everything makes sense because her image sells that for you before she didn't have to open her mouth to sell her brand. Because when you see her and you say, who is that? And someone says Betsy Johnson, you're going to want to go look her up because you're going to say, oh, she does look exactly, I would buy her brand based on her appearance because I know what to expect. I know what I'm getting into. So the number one way to make your style brand work is to look at your customer. Now, there are times that your customer that you're trying to attract may not dress exactly like you. Maybe you're an eclectic, funky person and you are in an industry that requires you to be a little more professional and you can't really be as edgy as you want. That's okay. There are ways around that. And by looking at your customer, you can come up with variations and definitely look for inspirations everywhere. So when it comes to, I'll give you an example, this is free, professional dress. Look at people like Steve Harvey. You can look at Eva Longoria. You can look at Oprah. Very conservative people who are put together and always well dressed. So just because your style may not be that of your customer, you still want to look at your customer to make sure that you're selling to them. Because if you dress super trendy and edgy and funky, you're not going to be able to sell to a demographic that is older than you. They're going to look at you and say, oh, she's cute, or he's cute. That's a cute outfit. You don't want people to say cute. You want people to look at you and say, wow, her style is different. I like it. I want to talk to her. Or, wow, her style is very put together. And, when people put together and really, really good, or she looks great, she looks confident, people are going to associate those words with your brand and with your business. So just to recap really quick, I've got 2 more minutes with you all. I told you I wasn't going to keep you long, 12 to 12:30 for the Style Brand webinar. We have talked about why style brand is important, having a cohesive representation, attracting the right customer, and selling yourself without speaking. We talked about how to determine if your style brand is working, asking yourself those 3 major questions. Are people intrigued about what you do when you walk in a room? Do you wear your brand statement, and is confidence driving your business or fear? And we talked about the number one way to make your style brand work, and that is to look at your customer. That is huge. You want to make sure that you are identifying with the people that you are selling to. So I know you all have been waiting. We've got 1 minute left. Let's talk about my special offer. I will be giving you the style brand consultation. The normal price is $500. It's going down to $250 only for the viewers of this webinar. If you want to take advantage of this opportunity, you need to head on over to my website or email me at talkstyle@ShaylaCourtney.com and let me know, Shayla, I want to talk to you about my style brand. I know it's not cohesive. I know it's not working. Or I want to make sure that I'm in line with exactly what I should be wearing, where I should be shopping, and how to make this work. Normal price for the style brand consultation is $500, and it's going down to $250 for all of you who tuned in to watch my live webinar. It's only going to be up or available for 48 hours, so you have until Thursday at 12:30 to let me know that you are concerned and excited about your style brand, and that you want to make sure that your brand is not only taken to the next level, but is the best representation in the way that you dress and your personal style. So make sure you tune in and check out the website, check out the packages that I offer. Again, that is at $250. That's a special rate for all of my viewers and everyone who has tuned in today. I want to thank you so much. It is 12:30. You guys have been great. I'm surprised that you guys didn't blow up my chat. That is amazing, because I know you guys are really interactive with me everywhere else. So I thank you. I appreciate you for tuning in. Make sure you share this with your friends and family and people that you know who are business owners and concerned about their style and brand. And I will see you next time. I'll have another one coming soon, so stay tuned. Thank you. Have an amazing day. And remember, it's important to sell yourself without ever opening your mouth.